भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयम् यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। Verse 20. Putra dukkham yathadhyastam pitra dukkhe sva atmani ahankarta tathadhyastah nitya dukkhe sva atmani sodhyaso neti netiti प्राप्तवत् प्रतिषिध्यते भूयोऽध्यास विदिः कश्चित् कुतश्चिन्नोपपद्यते। So giving the example of adhyasa, one thing superimposed upon the other, which also happens in our daily life. So a very familiar example of adhyasa, superimposition, is given here. Yatha pitra, just as by the father, adukkhe sve atmani, on one's own atma, which adukkha, devoid of any dukkha at all. Atma is sukha swarupa, therefore totally devoid of dukkha. Meaning that what is superimposed is quite contrary to that upon which superimposition takes place. That's important. Ad-dukkhe sve atmani, one's atma, the ad-dukkha in the sukha swarupa atma, Pitra by the father upon his own self, which is devoid of dukkha. Putra dukkham yatha adhyastam. How the dukkha, the pain or sorrow of the son is felt by the father. Father feels that I am unhappy. He feels sad, unhappy. Whereas sadness, unhappiness, pain belongs elsewhere. Panchadashi, Panch calls this Gauna Atma. So in a secondary sense, Putra also is looked upon as Atma. So this is a familiar example of adhyasa. How one thing is superimposed upon the other, and what is superimposed is quite contrary to the nature of that upon which superimposition takes place. Tatha, in a manner similar to that, nitya adukhe swe atmani. Same nitya adukhe. Pita's atma, at that time may not, but the Pita's atma is likely to get dukhi himself. But this atma, Satchidananda, is nitya swadukhe, was never ever associated with dukkha. Upon that, ahankarta adhyastha, karmani prayog here. Tasa ahankarta adhyastha. So when upon one's own atma, ahankarta, the idea of the karta, atma, that is akarta. Lord Krishna says, karmani akarmayah pashet. One who is thought to be karta, one who sees that the true nature of atma is akarta. Akarma means akarta really. And so akarta is the true nature of atma, actionlessness. Or not an agent of action. Upon that the contrary idea of kartrutvam is superimposed. So superimposition is of that which is totally contradictory to the nature. The Atma, the nature of happiness, is looked upon as dukhi. The Nitya Atma looked upon as Anitya, Sukhi Atma looked upon as Dukhi, Purna Atma looked upon as Apurna. This kind of adya, meaning that the ahankarta, the feeling that I have, I find myself, this is what I find myself to be, I am a doer, karta, bhokta, sukhi, dukhi. I find myself, but meaning that that's what I think about myself. Because I am not analyze that, I am not scrutinize that conclusion of mine. Whether ahankarta is an experience or a conclusion. We think that ahankarta, that I am a karta, a doer, is an experience. What it is the conclusion. That somewhere the karta is there, kartrutvam is there, which is drishya. And aham is there as the druk or drashta. So in this conclusion, aham karta, the basic aviveka of druk drush aviveka, the inability to separate the druk or drashta from drishya is involved by default. So here the teacher says that this notion that my conclusion I am a karta is a notion, is the result of the adhyasa. Therefore, sahadhyasa neti neti iti praptavat pratishidyate. Therefore, when the Upanishad says neti neti, you are not karta, you are not bhokta, you are not sukhi, you are not dukhi, asthulam, ananu, akhrisvam, adirgham. Yatat adresham, akrahyam, agotram, avarnam, ashakshusrotram, tadapanipadam. So in all the nityo, himurtah purusha, sabahya, bhyantro, aprano, hyamana, shubhra, in all of this, what is negated is not what obtains in Atma. Praptavat. It is not that the kartrutva is negated in Atma. It is the notion of kartrutva that is negated, understand? This is the praptavat pratisiddhate. As though it is praptam. Kartrutva, as though it is praptam, it is the that kartrutva which is as though praptam is negated, the kartrutva, the doership as though thought is negated, not the real kartrutva. Not that Atma is karta and Upanishad says you are not karta. That's the point is being made here, praptavat, as though attained, as though obtaining, as though existing. So Tikakara said, so praptavadidi vati prayogat vastuvritya prapti abhavat aropitatvam dradhayati. Praptavat as though existing. By saying that the kartrutva is as though existing, Vastuvritya prapti abhava, Vastuvritya in reality prapti abhava, there is no prapti of kartrutva. So kartrutva there is not existing, that non-existing kartrutva is being negated. Meaning that notion of kartrutva in Atma is negated, not the real kartrutva. This is an important thing. This idea is further explored by the teacher. So Tikakara says, in the introduction of verse 22, Avishaye, this is another separate question, taken in the Brahma Adhyasa Bhashya also. Nanu Avishaye Brahmatmani Vishaya Dharmanam. First of all, Adhyasa is clarified. How can Adhyasa take place in Atma? The example of Adhyasa superimposition, there are given a rope snake, Shuktika Rajata, etc. So these are the examples given. Avishaye Brahmatmani Vishaya Dharmanam Dukkhitvadinam Katham Adhyasam Bhavediyata Ida Purovasthite Vishaya Bhute Shuktikadu Rajatadi Adhyaso Dushtaha. Rajatadi Adhyasa Dushtaha. We find Adhyasa superimposition, Rajata, silver, etc. Shuktikadu in a shell, Purovartini, Puro Avasthite, in a shell which is in front of me, upon that which is different from me. The example of Adhyasa is Rajju Sarpa, Shuktika Rajata. Those Adhyasa superimposing upon entity something that is other than me. Whereas Atma is Avishaya. The I is Avishaya. Avishaye Brahmatmani Vishaya Dharmana Sarva Vishayatite. That is Atita. That transcends the idea of Vishayatvam, Drishyatvam. So Aham is described as Avishaya. That which cannot be object. Vishaya means that which can be is available for objectification. That which cannot be objectified. So Atma is I. And I cannot be the object of my knowledge because there cannot be the knower known duality in one locus. Avishay Brahmatmani, Brahmatma which is Avishaya, which is Vishayi, which is Drashta. Meaning that in Atma the Vishayatvam, the objectivity is totally absent. That's the whole idea. And that is what is sought to be taught. Anyadevatad viditat aso aviditat adhi, when the Upanishad says that Brahman is different from vidita, that which is known, avidita, that which is unknown. So vidita and avidita, known and unknown, among between them include all the Vishaya. So the intention is to say that Atma is avishaya, basically. Meaning that stop searching for Brahman as a Vishaya. This was the idea there. Avishaya, Brahmatmani. Brahmatma is a Vishaya. Jivatma, etc., Dukkhya Atma is Vishaya, but Brahmatma is a Vishaya. विषय धर्म दुखित्वाद विषय धर्माणाम दुखित्वादीनाम दुखी सुखी सुखी दुखी आर दी स्टेट्स ऑफ द माइंड सो दुखित्व सुखित्व स्टेट ऑफ बीइंग अनहैप्पी स्टेट ऑफ बीइंग हैप्पी आर द धर्म एट्रीब्यूट्स ऑफ द माइंड अनात्मा दृश्य कथम अध्यास संभाव्यते In the conventional example of adhyasa, the attributes of one Vishaya are superimposed upon other Vishaya. Attributes of Rajata or silver are superimposed upon the shell. Both are Vishaya. Here, however, you are illustrating the adhyasa upon Atma. The Dukkhitvam is the attribute of Vishaya, the mind, or the Upadhi. But aham is avishaya, so how? No, your example is not apt example, understand? Katham sambhavyate. How can the attributes of Vishaya be superimposed upon avishayatma? Iti ashankya. Vivichārād naivam niyamaha. Vivichara means exception. There is an exception. Niyama, there is no rule that only what is objectifiable is superimposed upon the objectifiable. There is an example which is also given in Brahma Sutra that upon what is not objectifiable, the objectifier thing is superimposed upon non-objectifier. Just says Dukkhitvam objectifiable is superimposed Atma, non-objectifiable. So next verse is Atmani hayathaadhyasah pratishedastathaiva cha maladhyasa nishedhaukhe kriyete cha yatha budhaihi. ये आत्मनि यथा अध्यास तथैव प्रतिषेधश्च. As the nature of adhyasa is an atma, so also is pratishedha, negation of adhyasa. Maladhyasa nishedokhe kriyere yatha buddhi. Two questions are answered really. What is negated from Atma is adhyastam, is a notion and not a reality. That you are akarta, you are a bhokta, when it is said, the kartritva, bhoktritva, etc., that is negated from Atma is notional. Not that I am karta and Upanishad I am akarta. That Atma is karta and Upanishad, hey, you are a karta or Atma is a karta. Atma is a karta and thought to be karta, therefore what Upanishad negates is notion and not reality. That's very important. That's praptavat. Yatha adhyasa tatha pratishedah. Adhyasa also is as though, therefore pratisheda also is as though. That you are not tall and you're not short and you're not fat and you're not lean. That I am fat, in reality in Upanishad you are not fat. Fatness is not my nature. I think I am fat, so notion of fatness about me is negated. So pratisheda or negation is of a nature similar to adhyasa, superimposition. And also how purovarti, how there is an exception to the rule. The adhyasa of a Vishaya always takes place in Vishaya. Adhyasa of the Vishaya Dharma can take place in Avishaya also. For that, Kha is example, space. Space cannot be objectified, space cannot be seen. And still upon the space, Nilima, as though it is violet, or as though space is polluted, as though it is dirty, dusty. Mala adhyasa nishedauke kriyete chatata aitha abudaihi. Mala adhyasa nishedo, dual. Adhyasa nishedo, adhyasa and nisheda. K upon space, the mala. Mala means the impurity or the color. The ignorant people or uninitiated people who do not know that space doesn't have color. They think the space has color, space has no color, space is polluted, space is not polluted. This is what people say. So polluted also was a notion, and not polluted is only negation of notion and not of real pollution. So this is a well-known thing. That is why this is presented as example. So in Atma also, what is negated is notion and not a reality. So Tika says, Yatha dehe vitrikta atmatvadinam. Now who is doing this adhyasa and negation? Dehe vitrikta atmavadi. Atmavad. So one who claims that Atma is different from body. The Mimamsaka also claims and Nayayika also claims that Atma is different from the body. Atma iha purasthite. So now why do they say that? Because people take body to be Atma. Therefore they are negating that, hey, Atma, body is not Atma. Even Nayayikas do that. Atma iha purasthite deha jara maranadi adhyasa. Therefore people take themselves to be the body, the old, diseased. This is what I take myself to be. And then the Nayayika says, hey, you are not old, you are not diseased, you are not this, fat, etc. So this is adhyasa, the body, purasthite dehe. Deha, there is in front of me, that is superimposed upon I. So no rule that the Vishaya Dharma superimposed upon other Vishaya only. How Vishaya Dharma, the Deha Dharmas are superimposed upon Atma, the Avishaya. And the Nayayikas negates the Pratisheda also, it similarly takes place. So two examples of Yatha Adhyasa. And Yatha, next line also is Yatha. Yatha cha Indriya Evishay Khe. Kha means the space. Also space which is the Avishaya, which is not an object of perception by Indriya, in this case eyes. Mala adhyasa nishedo abudaihi kriyate. The uninitiated people, they superimpose the impurity upon the space, pollution, a space pollution, and then negate that the space is clear, space is polluted, space is clear, space is blue, space is not blue. So space, in fact, is not objectifiable. So Atma is not objectifiable, upon that the Deha Dharmas are superimposed. Space is not objectifiable, upon that the other dharmas are superimposed. So there is no rule that Adhishthanam, the substratum of which the objectification, Adhyasa takes place, is necessarily an object. Atma is an object, space is not an object. Tathaivacha, now that Tathaiva has to be added because it's not Tathaivacha in the first line, Tathaivacha Pratyagatmani Brahmani api avishaye samsara adhyasa nishedu syatam. Similarly also, Pratyagatma, this avishaya, Pratyagatma, there is Brahma, avishaya upon that, also can there be the superimposition of samsara that belongs to Upadhi and Nisheda also. Syatam can very well be. Shows possibility of how the Vishaya dharmas are superimposed on Avishaya. If the first line is Atmani Atmani Tathadhyasa, there's another reading. So Tikakara says Atmani Tathadhyasa iti pathe Dushtanda Darstandika Prataya Uttararda Purvardu Spashtartha Atmani Tathadhyasa Pratishedha Tathaivacha Maladhyasa Krite Yatha. So the Yatha is the example, second line, and Tatha is the what is illustrated. Yatha is illustration, Tatha is illustrated. Then the second line becomes Dushtanta and the first line becomes Darstanta. Iti Uttarada Purvada Spashtartho. Uttara, the second line is Drishtanta. Purva, the first line is the Darstanta. So, already you have shown the exception that there is no rule that the dharma of the object are necessarily another object. The dharma of an object can be superimposed on what is not an object. It's all right. But still you should explain how does it happen. So the Tika says, Adhisthana Surumatra Sfuram Adhyasa Apekshate. For Adhyasa superimposition to take place, these basic conditions are required. It's all discussed earlier. The Samanya Jnanam is there and Vishesha Jnanam is not there. The Rajju Sarva example, Iyam Rajju Iyam. This Rajju, this is Samanya Jnanam that is common to all the objects which are objectified. Rajju is the Vishesha or a specific nature of this object. So when the Samanya Jnanam is there, this object is known, is cognized, but the Rajju part is not cognized. Because of the semi-darkness, etc., that does not conceal the object completely. I see something is there, but I fail to see it as rope. Upon that part, the superimposition. So, I am Sarpa. The Iyam and I am, this part remains the same. So, upon the Vishesha, the Rajju, the Sarpa is superimposed. So, Atma is a classical case that Aham Asmi, Sadabhami. So, Bhanam of Atma, the awareness of consciousness of Atma is always there. Samanya Jnana of Atma, I am is always there. But I am Brahman, the Vishesha Jnanam is not there. Therefore, I am Jiva. Thus, the conditions for superimposition also obtain in Atma. The condition is not that one object is superimposed on the other object. Condition is that Samanya Jnanam is there and Vishesha Jnanam is not there. So Sfuranam, meaning Adhisthana, Surumatra Sfuranam, and Rajju Sarpa, Rajju Adhisthana. So this is known, this part is known. Here Atma Adhishthanam Asmi Bhami is known. Adhisthana Surnamatram Adhyase Apekshate. For Adhyasa to take place, all that is necessary is Suranam, the awareness of the Adhishthanam substratum. Not that it is subject or object, that's not important. The Vishayatvena Suranam, there is no need. All that is important is Suranam is important. That you must know that rope in some way. And not that it is subject or object. Suranam is important for Adhyasa. That is the problem with Atma. Always Suranam Atma, I am always aware that I am. The Sfuranam or awareness is the classical situation for Adhyasa to take place. Therefore, there is constantly Adhyasa or superimposition going on upon Atma, either the dharma of the body, of the mind, the sense organs, something other is superimposed upon Atma, or even Putra also. But for all that superimposition to take place, the requirement Atma Sfuranam, and because Atma is self-shining, there cannot but be the Sfuranam or the awareness of Atma. Therefore, Adhyasa upon Atma is by default always going on. Therefore, Tadvaya Swaprakasha Atmani Swata Siddham, the Sfuranam is Swata Siddham. Sfuranam obtains by itself, not by my effort. In case of Rajju, at least something is required, that light must be there, and I must look at that. For Rajju, the Sfuranam to take place, at least Rajju must somewhat illuminate. And I should be looking there in that. So there is contact of the eyes with that object. Here no such condition is required. Rajju is not self-shining, therefore it must be made to shine. The self-shining, and therefore you are always aware of the self. This is the problem. This is the basis of the problem. The self-awareness of the Atma is the problem for the Adhyasa to take place. So therefore, it is not untenable that Atma can become the locus for Adhisthana. So this is, by the way, this question is answered, but praptavat, as though the Adhyasa, as though obtaining is negated. So praptavat pratishiti yuktam prapanchayati. What do you mean? As though Adhyasa is negated. Adhyasa as though obtaining is negated. What is negated is as though what is notion is negated, not reality is negated. Prapanchayati, that is explained, elaborated next verse. Praptaschet pratishidhyeta moksho nityo bhaved dhruvam ato prapta nishedhoyam divyagnichena divata. Praptaschet pratishidhyeta. If the Adhyasa was real, meaning that when I think that I am dukkhi, so when Upanishad says, you are not tall, you are not short, you are not red, you are not yellow, you are not dukkhi, you are not sukhi, you are not karta, you are not bhokta. If Upanishad is negating real kartrutva, bhoktrutva, that is, I am karta right now, in Upanishad you are not a karta, you are a karta. Then the reality of Atma is negated. That means that Atma, that was karta so far, he is not taught to be a karta, and now therefore I realize I am a karta. Then karta Atma becomes a karta Atma by virtue of negation. It cannot happen anyway. But if that is happened, that's what is thought to be. then Atma undergoes the transformation. By negation Upanishad, if Atma undergoes transformation, is always jnapakam natu prapakam or karakam. The Vakya, the statement, always makes you see, understand something, not create something. Even if Upanishad says that fire is cold, it cannot become cold. So Upanishad is only pramana. Pramana merely tells you what is, that's all. Eyes only tell you what the color is. The eyes don't make color. That maybe need to say that, hey, this is orange. Because for some reason I may think this is yellow. Then I may be told, to, hey, this is orange, Swamiji. Where did you get this yellow cloth? No, this is orange. So, orange is thought to be yellow, therefore notion of yellowness is negated, not the real yellow, that this is yellow and this is not yellow. So what is negated by the Upanishad is notion and not what is existing or what is obtaining. As though obtaining means what is the notion? Praptaschet pratisiddhyeta. If Atma was really samsari, Upanishad says you are a samsari. Anityo bhave moksho anityo bhave dhruvam. Then I was really bound so far and now I become liberated. I got liberated at 4 o'clock in afternoon on one Friday, 2015, something like that. Which means I was bound until then moksha has a beginning. And what is beginning also will have an end, because whatever brought about that bondage, if there is real, then that thing is waiting. And therefore someday it may attack me and bring about the bondage, isn't it? The cause of bondage is not gone. And so whatever brought about that bondage will again come. So moksha, which is the beginning, cannot be endless, it also will end. Moksha anityo bhaved dhruvam. The moksha will definitely be anitya, impermanent. Ato prapta nishedoyam. Therefore, for moksha to be permanent, what is negated has to be a notion and not a reality. So then why do you negate what is not there? You are not tall, you are not short, but I am not tall. Then why do you say I am tall? I am not tall. In reality, Atma, I am not tall. Why should I say I am? Because I think that I am tall. So what is negated is not a real thing, what is negated is notion. Divi agnichayana divata. So this is the aprapta pratisheda. The rule is that prapta pratisheda, prasakta pratisheda should take place. Negation should be of that for which there is an occasion. So the mother says to the child, come on, don't do this. I never do it, This is kind of conversation takes place. Don't break this. I never break it. Don't go there. I never go there. So sometimes these mothers, in whatever their concern, they negate something that is not there. Don't do it again. But I never did it, So don't do it again means it was done. Then child, I never did it. So when the mother says don't do again, it is negation of what is not there. Aprasakta pratisheda. This negation of that for which there is no occasion. So ideally, negation should take place of that for which there is an occasion. Don't jump because I am jumping. Don't keep sleeping because I keep sleeping. Then it can be negated. I never sleep. I never jump. I never do. This is how. So between mother and child, this conversation takes place. So aprapta pratisheda. We can do that, but Upanishad, the Shastra cannot do. But here Shastra also does. In case of Atma, whatever is negated, hey, you are not gross. Why am I told? Because I think I am gross. Therefore, because I entertain a notion there, and that notion causes a sense of bondage, unfortunately. What causes a sense of bondage, limitedness, is not that I am really limited, but notion that I am limited. Which notion arises from adhyasa, where limitation is some place which superimposes on Atma, and then I feel limited. So how do we make this person free? This fellow, this very wealthy person has put on the costume of a beggar and starts to, I'm a beggar, I'm a beggar, I'm a beggar. Hey, you're not a beggar. No, this is pratisheda aprapta. It's necessary because he entertains a notion and suffers as though he was a beggar. That notion is quite capable of creating the same effect as though it's a reality. He has to be told, you are not a beggar. There is aprapta, therefore, this rule that prasakta pratisheda, the negation should only of something for which there is an occasion, there is an exception here, that you are negating something which is not there but which is thought to be there. Divi agni chayana divata nantarikshe na divi agnischetavya iti. Somewhere there is a vakya in the Veda. You should not light fire in space and heaven, Nantarikshe, in space you should not light fire. Divi, in heaven you should not light fire. Nobody lights fire. So lighting fire in space and heaven does not come because you cannot do that. You can say, don't light fire on the earth. That can be said. But then just as you light fire on the earth, similarly you imagine that somebody is lighting fire in space or in heaven and then it is negated. So this negation is found in the Veda. An example of pratisheda of which there is aprasanga, aprapta, praptavat. So it is not there, but as though it is there, even though Atma is not gross and subtle, as though it is gross and subtle, it is negated. Because I entertain notion of grossness, subtleness about myself. Divi agnichayana divata aprapta nishedoyam. The verse says, therefore, I am nisheda. So astulam, ananu, ahrasvam, adirgam, aprana, amanaha. That you are without prana, you are without mind. Aprapta pratisheda. So that is why not prapta pratisheda, praptavat pratisheda. So explaining the first line, the Tika says, praptaschet pratisiddheta. If what is negated by Upanishad is really existing in me, pramana siddhaschet samsaraha. If samsara was pramana siddha means was real. Pramana siddha means that which is established by a valid means of knowledge. So if you could establish that there is samsara, there is limitation, there is smallness in Atma, there is dukkha in Atma. Oh, but I feel it. But how do you feel it? Do you have the valid means of knowledge or this is just your feeling? It's a sense. Because I cannot experience Atma by my conventional means of the mind or sense organs, and still I say that I am limited. Meaning that I have limited is the conclusion not brought about by a real experience of Atma. If I could experience Atma and then I experience that I am limited, I can experience this cloth and I say that this is orange, so this is pramana-janyam. Or pramana-siddham. That this cloth is orange is the conclusion that is born of pramanam by eyes which are the valid means of knowledge of revealing color. We don't have valid means of knowledge to reveal Atma. Perception reveals only, this will come later. only what is other than me, all means of knowledge given to me. Paranchikhani vatuna swayambhu tasmat parang pasyatinantaratman. Ishvara has made the sense organs and the mind extrovert, therefore they can only objectify what is out there, never the self. Meaning that I do not have any means of knowledge to experience myself, understand? The way I experience this pot and cloth. And still I did not draw conclusion about myself as though I am experiencing a pot and a cloth. Pramanasche siddhaschet samsaraha. Samsaram dukkitvam sukhitvam in the atma, kartrutvam bhoktrutvam the atma. If I experience atma and then, so if I saw atma and kartrutva together, here the cloth and orange, they obtain the same locus. Samanadhikaranam is there for cloth and orange, and then when I say the cloth is orange, it is right. But Atma is Dukhi, Atma is one locus, subject, Dukkha is another locus, object, and there is no way that I can experience it. This is the somehow the miracle I have performed by lumping those two things together. Pramana siddhaschet samsara, so samsaradhanam dukhi. That was an experience. That was the knowledge derived from a valid means of knowledge that Atma is experienceable. And then I experience that I am limited, then it would have been praptavat. So, praptat pratishiddhyeta, the real samsara, if that is what the Upanishad is, negating as though it is not there, as though it is there. So, if the Upanishad is negating real samsara, tarhi samsara bandhanvirupasya mokshasya agantukatvat, then real samsara was there and the Upanishad negated real samsara, then so far there was bondage, now moksha has come, so moksha becomes agantuka, something that is incidental, coming and going. Then dhruvam nishchitam moksha anityo bhavet. What comes has to go, what begins has to end. If moksha also begins, it will end. Comes, then it will go. Then moksha becomes anitya. Meaning if bondage was real and moksha also was real, then the moksha is real, has come, has begun, it will end. That means that bondage also is not real and moksha also is not real. Unreal bondage is negated to bring in unreal moksha. The notion of bondage is negated to bring in notion of moksha. So notion of moksha comes and goes, not moksha comes and goes. Moksha is the existing fact about me. Paramartha vritya atmagatasya bandhasya paramartha eva nivrittau. Paramartha vritya means in reality. Atmagatasya bandhasya, that bandha, the bondage, which is atmagata, which is in fact obtaining in Atma, located in Atma. Paramartha eva nivrittau, if the nivritti is paramartha, in reality. If a real bondage is negated by bringing real liberation, tasya atman avasthantarapatya, then now Atma gain avasthantaratvam. A bound Atma has become liberated. You see? So there was one avastha, Atma was bound, that was one state. Now it is liberated, another state. So now there is a transformation of Atma from one state to the other. Vikaritvat. Now this can happen in something that is vikari. So milk can undergo change to become curd when avastha gets transformed because milk is vikari. If Atma also underwent change from bondage to liberation, then Atma also will be vikari. Anityatvam avashyakam, what is vikari is perishable, anitya, and therefore If Atma became liberated, then it will be perishable. Tatha, there is one anadi bhavas rupasya bandhasya. Now when Atma is really bound, Atma is anadi. So bondage also is anadi. Anadi bhav rupasya bandhasya. And bhava means existing, real. So Atma is, and bondage also is. So real bondage, Atma is real, bhav rupasya, and bandha also is real. Atma is beginningless, bondage also is beginningless. Paramarthatve, that means bondage, if paramartham, bondage is real, nobody can remove the real bondage. Even if 100 Upanishad can say, you are liberated, you cannot be. Meaning no statement can bring a change in the nature of something. Nisvabhava bhavanam vyavarted aushnavadravehe. That says nobody can negate the heat of the sun, so also nobody can negate what is the nature of any entity. If bondage was nature of Atma and I am really bound, Upanishad statement cannot change it. So jnapakam natu karakam, it statement can only tell us what is, cannot bring about a change. So if bondage was real, it could not be eliminated, could not be removed. You can do whatever you want to say, but fire is hot. You cannot change nature of fire by saying fire is cold. Similarly, if Atma is bound, the statement that you are free or mukta, that will not change. Nivritti, therefore, that bondage will be impossible to remove if bondage was real. So, sadhitva bhyugametu, no, bondage came and the bondage that came in Atma is going. I think you can say bondage anadi. Anadi bondage has gone away. Then Atma always was bound and now it has become liberated and therefore a change in transformation in state of Atma, then Atma becomes Vikari. No, Atma is free by nature, but bondage came and that incidental bondage is gone. So Atma is Anadi, bondage is Adi, Sadi, it has beginning. So bondage that came has gone. Anadi, so sadhitva abhyupagame. If bondage is thought to be sadi means has a beginning, that Atma became bound and now it has become liberated. Tasya atmanaiva krutatvad. Who brought about that bondage? Atma is beginningless, always existing. Bondage has a beginning and it came. So who brought it? Atma is only entity, therefore atmanaiva krutatvad. Atma himself somehow invited bondage. See, Atma is always there, the bondage comes. How does it come? Unless you invite it. Or it takes hold of you. But Atmanaiva krutatvat, because Atma himself has brought about this bondage. Nivrittasya jati is a punah tasmin purut upattehe. Utpatti upattehe. Then usually similar bondage can come. Bondage is free to come. Atma is free and bondage came, so bondage is the capacity to come. Now you remove this bondage, but then similar bondage can come. If bondage is capacity or the ability to bound the Atma, and then you made him free. For example, the thieves came and tied you up with with chair, with ropes. Police came and then removed the ropes. Next day, a thief can come and again bind you, isn't it? That's called sajatiya. Similar bondage can happen. If you are available for being bound, if you possess a nature such that you can be bound, which each one of us does, then today thieves came and tied me up with my chair and took away everything. After 6 months they can come again and do that. If bondage was capable of binding the Atma, then even if you remove it now by this Upadesha or Nisheda, it can come back again. It's similar bondage. If the same thieves don't come, similar thieves can come. Or same bondage is not there, meaning different ropes are there. So, no, same ropes are not there. The ropes are thrown away. Other ropes can come. So, Similar bondage can come, or bondage come in a different way. Therefore, nivritta sajatiyasya. What is nivritta sajatiya? The bondage that has gone, similar bondage can come. Like the thieves tied me up, the police freed me. Then somebody else can tie me up again, a similar bondage can come. If bondage can come, it can come. If bondage which existing is removed, then there is something in me, which invites which makes bondage capable. In that case, it will come again. So, nivritta sajatiyasya, meaning that the bondage similar to the bondage that is removed, punah tasmin purvutpatti upapattehe, therefore, just as whatever caused the bondage in the first place, again also it can happen. Because there is something in Atma that can make it bound. So bondage came and bound the Atma. And Upanishad removed it by Upadesha. But this fellow remains, vulnerable anyway. Therefore bondage can come again. Punas tasmin purut upapatti upattehe. Therefore the bondage can come again. Upapatti logically. Anitya moksha prasadya. Therefore I can never be sure that I am free. Again they will come. No, this is happening in some places, like that wasp and worm, The Kira Brahmarnyaya, that wasp comes and stings. And it's so poisonous, and it comes and stings again, So if this thing can be stung, then that fellow can come again and do that. Similarly, if I can be tied, I can be tired again and again. Similar thing can come back. Anitya moksha. So therefore, now it's stung. Then this fellow is now okay. The poison is gone. I'm free. I'm all right. Again, it can come. If cold and cough can come into me, then by medication and things I am now fine. But it can come back again. If bandha is like that, it can come back again. Anitya moksha, then health becomes anitya. If disease can come at any time, your health becomes anitya. So also if bondage can come any time, moksha becomes anitya. Iti bandhasya avidyakatam. Therefore bondage cannot be real. Bondage has to be a notion. Then only it can go. Moksha has to be permanent, and bondage is a notion. A notional bondage is negated, then alone moksha can be eternal. Tasya jnanadeva nivrittehe. A notion is that which can be removed by knowledge. Notion is the product of ignorance, and notion can go by knowledge. Tasya jnanadeva nivrittehe nirarthakam prasang. Therefore, prasankhyanam is not required. My upadesha that you are ever free, I see, you are right. Bondage I thought I was bound. I realized that the bondage was notion. Then I need not repeat, I'm free. You don't have to repeat. So prasankhyanam, nivrit anarthakam prasankhyanam. When you already woken up well, then no need to say, I'm awake. Come on, stop it. You are awake. Sometimes it happens, The child just wakes up from the sleep, from a nightmare. So you're awake, don't worry, you're okay. Once he gets awake, then you don't have to keep on repeating, I'm awake. Nirarthakam prasankhyanam abhiprit upasamharati ataha aprapta nishedoyam divyagni chenadivata. If bondage can come back again, then you have to keep on repeating, I'm liberated. Because bondage has capability of coming. Then this prasankhyan is all right. But bondage once gone by knowledge cannot stage a comeback, and therefore you don't have to keep saying, I'm free. Therefore, the prasankhyanam nirarthakam. Because freedom is my nature, therefore. So where do you find the example of aprasakta pratishedha, negation of what for which there is no occasion? Yatha nantarikshe na divi agnischetavya iti. In Vedas, this Vakya is found for whatever reason. Na agnihi chetavya, the fire should not be lighted in divi, antarikshe, in space, divi, in heaven. Iti pruthivyamiva. On Prithvi you can light the fire on earth. So you can light similarly as though you can light fire in space, See, when the negation is pratisheda, you don't light fire in space. Now that presupposes that you can light fire, Everybody knows that you can light fire on the earth. Prithvyamiva agnichayana mantarikshado aropya. Similarly also, one can light a fire in space, one can light the fire in heaven, aropya. Then it is negated. Don't do that. So, iti apraptameva pratishidyate. There is no occasion for lighting fire in space and still it is negated. Similarly, no occasion of bondage in Atma and still it is negated because there is a notion. तथा संसार बंधर ही देव आत्मनि तद आरोप निषेध हुई. Samsara bandharahit, similarly also, Atma, the ever devoid of samsara, upon that, aropa nishedha. I do the aropa, Upanishad does nishedha. And so this is the style. Adhyaropa, apavada. Adhyaropa we do. Apavada, Upanishad helps us to. We have to apavada also with the help of teaching of the Upanishad. It is Divya Agniti. Adipadad Akasham Akasha Malinyam Laukikam Grushyate. Similarly, just as in Akasha also Malinyam, color, etc. is superimposed. However, there is no occasion, so also there is no occasion of bondage in Atma and still it is super. That's why it's called Adhyasa. So what is negated is Adhyastam, not something which is real. See, the footnote on page 331 says, I am Avisandhi, Taitiya Samhita 527. The Nantarikshe na Divi Agnischetavya, the statement comes from Taitiya Samhita 527. So what is the intention of Avisandhi? What is the Tatparya? What is the intention of saying that? Prasaktami sarvatra nishedhyam na prasaktam. The rule is that you should only negate that for which there is an occasion. Please don't eat curd because there is possibility of eating that. That is why don't eat fire. Nobody will say there is no occasion for that. So prasaktami sarvatra nishedhyam. Always nisheda, when you say don't do something or something is negated, is that for which there is an occasion and not some na prasaktam where there is no occasion. Dastu kaschit aprasaktasyapi nishedha. So kvachit, for somewhere, you find that there is nishedha of which there is no prasanga or occasion, such as yatha nantarikshe nadivi. Nobody is going to light fire in space. Nobody will light fire in heaven. Why? There is no occasion of negation and still is negated. Tatra gatyantaram nasti. There is no other explanation. Therefore, nacha tatrapi nisheda paratvam. In this statement also, it is not to be taken literally that the Vedas are in fact prohibiting you to light fire in the heaven and space, etc., because there is no occasion of that. Arthavadoyam, this is Arthavada. Meaning this statement is not to be taken literally, it is Arthavada. Rukm upadhanasya rukmam upadadhati iti anene iti ekvakyatvat. So rukmam upadadhati. What is rukmam? I have to look into that. But anyway, so something that is not possible is being said there. Similarly also, something is not possible is being said here. Tasmad yatha kathanchana. So then how do you understand the statement? What is Arthavada? It is not Arthavada, it is not statement of fact. Katha, Kathanchan tat stutau eva tatparyam. Tatparya is only in stuti. So Rukma stuti. Similarly also here, stuti of fire, which cannot be lighted. Here. Atra tu dvaita nisheda paratvam vaishamyam. But in our case, dvaita nisheda paratvam, so when what is negated is dvaita is negated, then ihavi prasakta. But here is prasakta dvaita, it's not aprasakta. Because dvaita is notionally is there, therefore what is there as notion is negated. And that is quite appropriate. Na prasakta Ishvara nanato nisheda paratvam. That Ishvara is many, there is nobody says Ishvara there are many, so you need not negate what nobody ever thinks about. But when you think that I am samsari, that everybody thinks, therefore there is nisheda there. So this is the Arthavada Vakya. Nantarikshe na devi agni chetavya. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrahashya Krutau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.